Hi guys, this is Yoga Wakeji Kamore and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. Alright, today we're going to be covering 2 Kings chapter 16. Again, if you haven't read this chapter, please pause this and read the chapter for yourself for better understanding, for better revelation, and just so that you know the story before you listen to the summary and the lessons that I'm going to share. If you're here for the very first time, please subscribe, please like, and please hit the notification bell so that then you can get the notification every single time I post something. Right, so by the time we're getting to chapter 16, Judah has a new king, and this is Ahaz. Okay, let's pause there and just try and figure out who Ahaz is. You guys know there's a king called Azariah in the last chapter. Azariah was punished with leprosy, and so his son Jotham became king after he had died. But even before that, Jotham would still lead. So Jotham was the one who was king of Judah, and then when Jotham died, his son Ahaz became king of Judah. So today we are going to focus on King Ahaz, as opposed to focusing on these other kings of Israel, Judah, and getting all lost in there. Today we are focusing on Judah, and we are focusing on one king called Ahaz. And this Ahaz is a son of Jotham. Jotham is a son of Uzziah or Azariah. This guy had two names. All right, so let me tell you guys about Ahaz. Ahaz was such an evil king. Wait. This guy was evil than all the other kings that Judah had seen. Judah had. Remember that the bad kings were from Israel. But now this one, Judah also had some bad kings, but this one was really evil. He was worshipping idol gods. He allowed idol worship to happen. As a matter of fact, he was so much into idol worship that he sacrificed his own son in those sacrifices to the idol gods. And because of this, God, of course, let me tell you, when you defy God, then good things are not going to happen to you. So the king of Israel, at that time being Pekah, you know who Pekah is? Pekah is a guy who assassinated a king called Pekahiah and became a king in Israel. So Pekah is king at this specific time. And so Pekah came to attack Jerusalem, which is the capital city of Judah, and besieged Ahaz. And then what happens that the king of Edom drove all the people of Judah from Elath. So this guy is actually, just the fact that he's been so evil as a king, he's causing the destruction of Judah. Because now there is a king of Israel who has come to attack. The king of Edom is also attacking Judah and has drove away all the people of Judah from a place called Elath. So what does he do, this king Ahaz? He requests help from the king of Assyria. So what does he do to request for this help? He gifts the king of Assyria with silver and gold from the temple of the Lord. First, I feel like every single time the king is being threatened by another king, they just keep stripping away gold and silver from the temple of God. I don't even know whether there's any silver and gold left in this temple, because they just keep bribing this. Every time a king says, I'm going to attack either Israel or even Judah, Judah, because that's where the temple of the Lord was, they would just strip gold and silver from the temple of the Lord and bribe whoever it is that wants to attack Jerusalem. So that's what exactly that they did. And so King Ahaz asks for help from King Assyria and bribes him as well. And then they decide to meet in a place called Damascus. So ahead of the meeting, King Assyria goes and destroys everybody at Damascus, kills them, takes the cities, and then he chooses us to be like where they will meet with King Ahaz. It's like when me and you, we say we are going to meet in town. It's like now I go to town, destroy everybody in town, and then now we can meet just the two of us. It's like those things that that I hear happen with some prophets that I will not name, that akiingia kwa supermarket, kila mtu anatolewa kwa supermarket just so that the prophet can shop by himself. If he goes into a restaurant, everybody of you out just so that he can eat his meal in peace. So that's exactly what this king of Assyria does. He goes to Damascus, destroys the people that were there, destroys those cities, and then he made that a meeting point with King Ahaz. So when King Ahaz went to meet with King of Assyria in Damascus, during that visit, the king of Judah by the name Ahaz saw this altar that he found intriguing and interested. And so he wanted to replicate the same altar back in his hometown in Jerusalem. So what did he do? He sent a sketch of this altar to the priest called Priest Uriah. And he told him to start constructing it in Jerusalem before he is back. So it's like, as I'm meeting this king in Damascus, you better be constructing this altar. This is the sketch. Nataka nikirudi nipate that same altar in Jerusalem. So Uriah does that. He constructs that altar in Jerusalem. And when King Ahaz came back to Jerusalem, he made sacrifices on that new altar. And he even moved some of the bronze. Remember now, guys have stripped silver and gold from this temple of the Lord. So labda ni bronze tu imebaki huko. So he stripped some of the bronze that was there and from the temple of the Lord and put it on this new altar. And then he instructed Uriah, the priest, to continue offering morning sacrifices on it. Please note, this is not an altar of the Lord. This was an altar of like an idol worship. So he has instructed this priest, who is a priest from the temple of God, to now go and start offering sacrifices uko kwa altar yenye amejenga. Na he's even stripped the temple of the Lord and put those things on that altar. Like, that's the stretch of disobedience of God and defiance of God that this king Ahaz had, which is really, really bad. I think for me, the thing that I learn from this chapter is that when we defy God and when we decide to turn away from obeying God and trusting in God, we then become slaves of whatever it is that we trust in God's place. All right, let's see where that lesson comes from. So this Ahaz guy decided to not trust in God. He was a complete idol worshiper. And when he put his trust, when he was starting to be attacked by the king of Israel, Pekah, he put his trust in the king of Assyria. He did not put his trust in God. He did not seek for God's help. He sought for the help of this king Assyria. And it's so unfortunate because the Bible actually records that he built this altar. The Bible records that he built this altar to please this king of Assyria. Let me actually just read it. That is in chapter, I think the same, I'm looking for 16. Just hold on a minute. I'm looking for verse 17 or verse 18. It says that in deference to the king of Assyria, he being King Ahaz, removed the canopy that had been constructed inside the palace for use on the Sabbath day, as well as the king's outer entrance to the temple of the Lord. In deference means in quiet submission or in quiet reference to. So he actually tore down some of the things that was in his palace. He tore down some of the things that were in the temple of the Lord and placed them on this new altar of idol that he had created because he was submitted to the king of Assyria. He was doing it to please the king of Assyria. So it is easy for me to say from just that lesson, that when you disobey God and when you turn from obeying and trusting God, we become slaves of whatever it is that we have put in place of God. If you defy God and stop trusting God and start trusting your money, then you become a slave to your money and finding it and always panicking because, oh my God, my money is going to end. I'm going to be broke. So you're always working and working and working. You're always, the greed starts to just push you. If you stop trusting God and you want to trust your status, then you become a slave to your status. If you stop trusting God and you put your dependence on your education and the level of your education, then you become a slave to that. You're constantly seeking the next PhD, the next G what, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you become a slave to it, that's where the problem. And the reason why you become a slave to it is because you have stopped trusting in God and you have placed your trust in that thing. That is the lesson that I have learned from this chapter. I hope that you have learned your own lessons, written them down, and I hope that you will apply them. This is your girl Wakeji Kamore, and this has been Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. See you tomorrow.